I need carers to help live my life, and for it all to go to plan, I've learned that I need to be able to direct my care. Since leaving rehab in 2019, I've needed to have carers to help live my life, and I've had some really good carers and some not so good carers, but that's a video for another time. But most carers mean well. They really care about their job. And I've found what works best is if I tell them what I need and how I like things done so they can understand what's needed. And so I put together this folder. This folder is sort of a manual to my care, which I've used in 2020. I'm continuing to use it, but I might find new and improved ways of directing my care. I'm always open to new possibilities. All right, let's have a look. So I call it M's Care Book, and then I have an intro where I just welcome them to my care team. Next up, I have a confirmation that they read and understand the care book. Then we come to the communication page tab. So this is what carers have to do every day, and it's one of the ways they communicate with each other. There are spare sheets to be used and then sheets already filled out. So how it works is a carer would take a new sheet out and then clip it onto the clipboard. They would then use this throughout the day. The sheet is actually split into 4 days. They would write their name and shift here, the date here. And for me, my physio needs notes on the therapies I do that day and how my spasms react. Therapies such as standing frames, stretches, the IFES machine. So the carers write their notes and then I collect them. And then there's also a section for reminders for the next carer. So any notes they need to pass along. That's where the carer can write anything they need to communicate to the next carer, such as please bring in the washing, or sometimes I'll even write a note saying something if I need them to know something. The next day, the carer then can just go to the clipboard and fill out the next section. After it is completely filled, it goes back into the folder so I can put together the notes written by the carers on my spasticity therapy. The next tab is admin, and this is where I have all carers take notes forms, the spare sheets and the ones that are all filled out. So this is for if I or any of the other carers have to tell all the carers something, instead of me trying to remember how to tell them all individually, because I'll forget. It stays clipped on the clipboard under the communication sheet. I write my note down such as there is a new stretch added to the stretching routine. Then there is a spot for each of my carers to sign that they have read, understood and completed what's written. And when all notes are signed, can go back into the folder and replaced with a new sheet. I also have other important forms in here and just other administration stuff. Then the tab is My Routine, which is a section explaining my routine and all the tasks they need to do. So there's a clear layout if they ever forget or if someone new comes in. Then it is house instructions. This just runs through how to use house appliances. And then the section at the back here is all my carer training for all the different therapies and equipment that I have. I have a tab where they can ask any of my therapist questions about the training and then the therapist will answer. I also have a tab for the carer agency care plan. I then have different tabs with all the different training for the carers. Each of them have instructions on how to perform the task or therapy so the carer knows how to do each thing. So that's the folder I have, my care book. But I also have checklists to help direct my care, so we'll go have a look at those. So here are the checklists, and the carers use whiteboard markers, and then at the end of the week, wipe them clean. I have a checklist for the morning tasks, evening tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, a check skin checklist, and a to-do list. The morning and evening checklist contain all the tasks that need to be completed on those shifts. The tasks that are in red need to be completed every day, and the ones in blue need to be completed if needed. And then at the bottom of the checklist, you can see that it says completed today's weekly tasks, which brings me to the weekly checklist. On the weekly checklist, there are specific tasks that need to be completed once a week. I've assigned days to them. They don't have to be done on that day, but just to make it easier, they just need to be completed once a week. So on Monday, I have wash linen. And if there's no time to do that, or the weather is raining, it can just be left blank and do another task instead. The carer would then put a cross on the morning checklist where it says, today's weekly checklist done. This is another way for the carers to communicate with each other on whether the tasks were completed or not and whether they still need to be done. Then the next carer on Tuesday's shift will see it wasn't done and will complete the task of washing linen that day if she can. Tuesday's carer would then tick off on the weekly checklist and the morning checklist that all previous days' weekly tasks were completed and all is up to date. And if Monday's carer decided to do another task, such as Tuesday's task of cleaning the wheelchair wheels, they just tick that task was completed, and the Tuesday carer would see that task was completed yesterday and doesn't need doing. It's all about creating an easy way for the carers to communicate with each other so no task gets missed. The next one is monthly checklist. This is tasks that only need to be completed every so often. For example, I need to turn my mattress every couple of months. So any day that month, a carer will complete the task and tick it off. The last checklist is about helping me remember to check my skin every day. It's very important because I have a spinal cord injury. And it's something that I have trouble remembering at the moment. So it's there to help me learn to get into the habit of remembering myself. So how it works is if I check my skin in the morning, it's ticked, but if I don't, there's a cross. And then I need to make sure I check it that night. I also have a to-do list there for the carers, which they can write any task that's not the usual, to help them remember, and they tick it off when they're done. For example, it could be a weekly task on a previous day, a different task that isn't written, or even I could write down a task. And if not completed, the person on the next shift will see that task that needs to be completed. Which reminds me, I almost forgot about the stock cupboard checklist. In the stock cupboard, I have a checklist with all my medical supplies. And when an item is taken out of the cupboard or used up, it gets crossed off. Then, when a carer crosses off the number that says more, it gets put down on the to-do list that there needs to be a medical supplies order. There we go, that's everything I'm using to help direct my care so that all my carers know what to do, no task gets missed, and they can easily communicate with each other. So this is what has worked for me best so far since having carers, and they seem to appreciate the work that I put in and think it works well. I'll show you what they think of it.
I think it's actually really helpful that we have the checklist and the communication sheets. It's a good way for us to know how we can best support Em in being as independent as possible.
So I like using Em's system, so it's good for people that don't come and work with her on a regular basis like myself, so I'm only here every now and then. But it's great because I can actually see what needs to be done, what hasn't been done, or what has been done. And it's also good so I don't have to constantly ask her what she would like me to do because I have a rough idea of what needs to be done.
Personally, I like Em's checklist because it shows she's taking a lot of initiative in her own care, and as a carer I know that everything's being done and we all have a pretty even workload, which means we can do more fun stuff like film these videos.
So that's what I've done for 2020 and it works best for me. But as I said, I might find a new and better way to direct my care this year. Who knows? If you have any other ideas that I should consider trying, then comment them below. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one. Click that thumbs up if you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.